So I finally watched the Pinocchio movie that everybody's been talking about, and frankly, I have to say, I'm a little confused. I thought it wasn't supposed to come out until later this year, and yet everybody keeps saying it's amazing and you need to see it. So I did everything I could to try and find it, but all I really found was this Pinocchio movie that was apparently funded by Russia? I don't know if that helps this movie or actually makes it worse, but I watched it anyway and it blowed. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. It's this guy, right? He's the only reason anyone is giving this movie the time of day. Pauly Shore's a name that we haven't heard from in quite some time, have we? He was a pretty big name back in the 90s, and this isn't even his first animated movie. He played the character Bobby in a Goofy movie and a sequel, so it's not like he's automatically a bad voice actor. It's gotta be an issue with the direction. I really couldn't find that much information about this movie. It's just one of those shitty direct-to-video movies that hit the $5 bin at Walmart as soon as it releases. No one was supposed to care about it except for parents who think that animation is only for kids. So basically, the Academy.
Characters hold such a special place in our hearts because animated films make up some of our most formative movie experiences as kids.
So many kids watch these movies over and over
and over and over and over and over and over.
I see some parents out there know exactly what we're talking about.
This is the most obnoxious thing I've ever experienced in my life.
Seriously though, if it wasn't for all of the memes and the fact that this trended on Twitter, I never would have watched this. And who are you kidding? You wouldn't have either. Taking away the awful English dub of this movie, it really just looked like another one of these generic, awful kids films that looks like it had zero effort put into it whatsoever. And after watching it, yeah, it's exactly that. Every once in a while there's something to say, but frankly this movie is just agonizingly boring. Everything in this movie, from the animation, to the storytelling, to the cinematography, to the characters, is just so wooden. Pun intended. Really, the English voice actors are the only thing that truly stands out in this movie as something that is especially awful, but don't get me wrong, the story can be pretty stupid too. For a movie about Pinocchio, it really doesn't need to be one. This movie is to the Pinocchio story the same way Dragon Ball Evolution was to Dragon Ball. Remember how Pinocchio's nose would grow whenever he lied? Well, this movie didn't, and they make that very clear from the beginning.
But then, people started making up some silly stories about growing noses and whatnot.
Can you shut the fuck up?
Then why is this a Pinocchio story if Pinocchio isn't gonna Pinocchio? I paid no money for this. Only like 20% of this movie acknowledges the fact that he's made out of wood. Really, if he was just a normal boy from the beginning, then this movie would change very little. Oh, but then again, we wouldn't be able to just shoot our main character for no good reason, now would we? Who am I kidding? That was the best thing in the whole movie.
Mamma mia! It wouldn't buy!
You killed him!
Remember how Pinocchio was supposed to learn lessons about taking the easy way out, and how hard work did have its benefits? Well, there's no lesson here, just that Pinocchio want to do something with his wood, and by the end, be able to do just that. He doesn't learn any valuable life lessons or go through any major change, he just gets laid in the end. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Speaking of the girl, why is her hair blue? This is the 1800s, and blue hair dye didn't exist yet, so why does she look like a Tumblr girl? Why does her singing voice sound like it's coming from a 40-year-old woman?
Pinocchio, you need to listen to me. I have to tell you something. I don't even like you. Every show is my own debut. A feeling known by just a few.
What the fuck was that? Ah!
The villains are just your typical assholes with no redeeming traits or characters outside of "we love money" and "ooh, fuck everybody" and "ooh, I kidnapped this girl when she was a little girl because I felt like it." And no, I'm never gonna explain why I did that. Tom Kenny as Geppetto is the one saving grace in this movie, but mainly because he's barely even in it. Seriously, why did this movie even give him top billing when his character isn't even that important? Don't get me wrong, I love Tom Kenny as much as the next Ice King stan, but still, he gives it his all like he always does, and I give him props for trying, but you can tell from his delivery that even he is struggling to make this shit sound good. This detective is probably the most idiotic character I've ever seen. I cannot put into words how stupid he is, so I'll just let these clips play by themselves.
And you don't find that little fact suspicious?
What little fact?
You don't think it's suspicious that there's no one suspicious in your home?
No, that's normal. What kind of logic is that?
Well. Something tells me that I might have seen this poster before.
You probably did. They're a business. They probably hang those all over town. People still do that in today's time.
Mom! Mamma mia! I've exposed a criminal gang. They sell out their shows, and while the whole town watches their performance, they rob people's homes. And do you know who's behind it all? Pinocchio! He's the shrewd, hardened criminal we're after.
So Pinocchio, who just joined this circus that's been around for a long-ass time before him joining, and has been committing these crimes before he joined, is the one behind these crimes? You drank paint when you were a child, didn't you? Seriously, this whole subplot about these detectives learning about the circus and the robberies pretty much happens entirely off screen. We never learn how exactly they were able to deduce any of this stuff. How did they even get here? What clues they have? It's actually funny because watching this now when I just finished replaying Batman Arkham City again, which is one of my all-time favorite video games, and now here I am going back and forth between something with incredible detective work and this.
Maybe I should toss a coin. That's always worked. Heads. So this means the suspects must have gone that way.
It's not even on the same level, is it? The animation in this movie is embarrassingly bad. The landscapes are boring, the movements are all janky and slow, hair physics are weird, water physics are weird, the textures on Pinocchio are just so lame. When he actually does turn into a human by the end of the movie, there's like little to no change at all. Like, they did everything in their power to make sure Pinocchio did not look like a wooden boy in the end. Why do the detectives' sidekicks look inbred? fucking Charles V looking ass. Oh, there's a Joe Swanson chin if I've ever seen one. Oh, God. Oh, God. There's this really weird dynamic between Pinocchio and his horse, Tybalt, where Pinocchio wants Tybalt to pretend that he's his dad. And this is like a running gag in the movie, and it's like really uncomfortable how he calls his horse daddy. Yeah, I'm not into it. Speaking of Tybalt, he's kind of a total dick in this movie. He takes every opportunity he can to start shit with people for no good reason. There's literally a scene where the Tumblr girl's about to die, and Tybalt's all like, man, fuck that bitch, who cares? Like, damn, Tybalt! Not gonna lie, I kind of respect that. My boy Tybalt ain't a simp. Not like our main character is. The movie's story is so illogical. It really just does whatever it feels like for no rhyme or reason. The villain will often just state their evil plans out loud for the people around them to hear, and the Tumblr girl decides to just not tell Pinocchio about it? Because why would she? Why would she just tell him that he's in danger? There's nothing stopping you. You can just tell him the truth! There's also a fairy in this movie who isn't blue? Seriously, how do you fuck this up? Her name is literally the Blue Fairy. And yet there's barely any blue on her. Instead, you just made her look like a slightly older Elsa. Yeah, I'm sure no one noticed that. Oh, but speaking of the fairy, get this. She can turn Pinocchio into a real boy whenever she wants. But where in the original story, Pinocchio had to go and prove himself to become a real boy, in this movie, he just has to believe in himself. Even though he already wants to be human and pretty much already does. This makes no fucking sense. This makes no sense at all. You guys already had a story laid out right in front of you. All you had to do was not fuck it up. And what did you do? You fucked it up.
Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. You have fucked up now.
I could go on and on about how incompetent this movie is. Like, for example, did you know the detective is actually Tumblr Girl's real father? Yeah, that's a plotline that literally gets introduced in the last 5 minutes. I'm not making that up. I could talk about how when the fire starts in the circus, everybody just kind of stares at it for like a full minute before realizing, oh shit, that's fire. Yep, hang on, I gotta get my glasses. Oh, yep, that sure is some fire right there. But honestly, what is the point? Everyone who's anyone already knows about this movie now, and chances are you yourself already know this movie is a total disaster piece. Admittedly, it has its moments of so bad it's good.
Alive! I'm a boy and I'm alive!
But outside of them, I was just pretty bored of it for the most part. The voice acting is hilarious, but without it, it's just another stupid animated kids film that went straight to the $5 bin at Walmart. So on that note, definitely a contender for the Oscar nomination next year, since animation is for kids after all.
Because of you.